Hi, folks. Welcome back, and thanks again for joining. So today I'm very excited. I'm starting the microgreen grow in my indoor winter garden setup here that I have right here next to me. And I apologize. The sun is streaming in on me right now. This is one of the reasons why I chose this space. It just gets flooded with sunlight, so it's an ideal space for me. Now, that said, now I'm still using the grow lights because we're coming on to winter here, and even this sun it'll be a good idea to have some additional light in here. So what I have here today is something that I'm going to grow here, and I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about my little setup here. The difficulty in growing microgreens, if you'll see it all over YouTube, and that is the guesswork involved in growing microgreens and avoiding problems, getting good value for the seed, um, and staying on target. There's a lot of information out there, and I've kind of honed it down for myself and for my own needs, and I'm going to share that with you today. And I'm going to share my rule of thumb of fours, and I'll explain that as we go along right here. And I've got everything set up so that we can go through it very quickly now. And as you can see, I've got my trays here, and I print these myself on my 3D printers. And this, there's a very good reason for that, and that is they fit this pad right here, and which begins with my first rule of four, and that is that a 4-inch by 4-inch jute pad is simply an ideal size for me to eat microgreens in a variety like I have growing here, a variety of 4 that I've got going right now. I plan on doing a lot more, but this will give me a variety of microgreens for the week. Okay, so so there's my first 4 by 4s. Okay, and what I have here is some pads that I have been soaking in hydrogen peroxide for a while. And I don't know if can you see this. So I'm going to move everything down. So if things begin to get cluttered around me, it's just because I'm not sure about the camera angle. So we're going to try to keep rolling here. So these have been soaking in peroxide for a few days now. It can be a few minutes. It can be a lot longer as well. What I like to do is not only sanitize the jute pads, but the peroxide is going to help start breaking this jute down so that the seeds have something much easier to grab to start with. So that's my thoughts on that. So what I'm going to do here is now sanitation, and sanitation is kind of important because I wrote it big. So sanitation is extremely important when growing your microgreens, or you're going to have problems, especially in a because you're adding moisture, and it's going to be a warmed environment. Mold likes this nice warm wintry thing. Where you're generating heat and there's a lot of moisture in the air, that sort of thing. So not only that, but you have a grow medium. You're growing something, so you have decomposition going on, and that's like a sandbox to a 4-year-old when it comes to mold. So we're going to knock it back. We're going to prevent it. We're not going to deal with it. That's the best thing, is just simply not deal with it. And sanitation is how it's the main component in avoiding problems like mold in your grow. So they've been soaking for a week. I've got some gloves up there to show you. I'm going to wash my hands before I touch my seeds, and then I'm going to sanitize the containers before and after I open them. We're really going to do this. And these have been soaked in they've been washed in bleach, and they've been sprayed down with the peroxide. And we're going to also use another little trick as we go along here. So because sanitation also has to work in the work environment. So I'm going to show you how I progress as we work. So let me wash my hands. I love having the sink inside because I don't have to go far. I'm right off camera. So who else has trouble getting gloves on freshly washed hands? I don't know of any other way than to do the wave for a minute. So we're going to do this. Now, as we go along, our rule of 4 is going to be popping up for us during this, again, several times as a matter of fact. So, now this is not peroxide. This is Listerine, the gold Listerine. And it has a couple things in there that I like. It has thymol, and it has a little bit of alcohol in there to sanitize stuff. Well, we all know it's a surgical wash, and even though it's old, it's very effective. Now, what I have here are a couple different kinds of seeds. So before we get too far into the grow, let me talk to you about these seeds right here. These seeds I got locally. These come from Harrisonburg, Virginia. And these I got from Amazon. And from the best I can tell, they're from New York. What I found out is there's a difference in seeds. Now, one of the things that you want to know about seeds is when you get into growing microgreens regularly, you're going to be tempted to buy a bulk quantity. But seeds go bad, and their germination rates drop month by month. So my advice is to not buy any more seeds than you can plant for a month, and then repurchase your seeds. So don't buy big quantities, buy a month's supply. And that's going to give you the highest germination rate. And you're going to want that because a high germination rate is actually one of the things that you're going to use to combat mold. So if things are too alive, mold doesn't stick around. So you want a good germination rate. Okay, now both of these seeds have an excellent germination. However, one of these is a lot larger. The stem, the leaf, the height of the plant, and we're going to grow these side by side so you can compare the difference between one strain of seed and another. So that's what we're going to do there. So we're off on the seeds. So seeds matter. Buy a month's supply. Don't buy bulk. It's tempting. It really is. It's tempting. You want to because you can save a lot of money. All right. So, but these have been soaking for a long time in the peroxide. And now you'll see some black on these, and that's not mold. That's just a natural black fiber that gets caught up in the jute. So it's all natural. But what I also like to do, and this helps me with my one of my fours, and that is jute doesn't like to soak up water very quickly. And what I like to do to prevent spending a lot of time watering and waiting for water to soak up is I've developed a little process here that speeds things up, where I can just water it and a predictable amount, and I'm good to go. And I know that it's going to be a sufficient amount for the pad. So these pads are cut in such a way now. These are not 4x4. I reshaped these. These are like 3.5 by 4.5. What that does is it fits my windowsill a little bit better. That's why they're rectangle and not square. But they're still the rule of 4, kind of, sort of. The pliers that I'm using here, you're going to ask about these. Maybe these are integrated circuit cutters. They're very, very, very old. They're like 40 years old, maybe. Back when I was an electronics engineer, this was in my toolbox. And back then they made tools to last. So, but this is it's a flat cutter. I'm sure that it wasn't invented for the electronics industry, but it was adapted for its use. It gets in very tight in between the little legs. The reason I like using it for this is because it's a very strong jaw, and it starts just like right there. So, okay, there's that. And I have one extra pad there. Okay. Now here's where we're going to put on the seeds, and each one is going to be different. And what I'm going to do is going with my rule of 4. This particular size, I can put 1/4 ounce of seeds on each one. So there's another 4. And so that's what I'm going to do next. And then we come to the last 4. Well, no, another 4, and that is this 4x4 is not arbitrary. It just so happens that this particular situation, I made this tray a certain size that it will hold exactly with this pad 40 milliliters of water. So I know that I can come in here and I can quickly saturate this pad with a predictable amount of water, enough to soak the seeds for the germination period of, you guessed it, 4 days. So, and that's Mother Nature. You have to work with Mother Nature. So these are the things that work for this particular setup. I think it's just very handy. I didn't really go after a rule of 4s. It just ended up that way, believe me. So nothing fancy. It just turns out. So I like staying close enough to Mother Nature that things just simply work out. So I know I'm doing a good job when things work out. You can use, to sanitize, use whatever you like. I prefer the Listerine. It is a very safe skin contact stuff. You can use peroxide as well. A lot of people will want to use the medical grade peroxide, and that's fine. That's fine, but we can put these things, Listerine and peroxide, we can put it in our mouth. So I think that stuff's kind of pretty safe, but and especially as nothing more than a sanitizer, where the the sanitizer solution is going to evaporate away. So there we go. Now, there's that. Don't forget to keep your gloves clean. So as you're touching things. Yep. And I want. I'm afraid I don't know what the grams are. We'll do that in a second. What's how many grams is a quarter ounce? You know, I had the misfortune of being raised in the American school system, so I don't know unless I convert it. And even with my private schools, we still converted everything. We remember, now when we was a kid, I was 7, 8 years old, I suppose, went to school, and all the nuns were making a big thing out of the fact that America was switching to the metric system. So we quickly had to start doing everything in metric, and it never took off. And American business fucked back, and they won. So, all right. So, these are the broccoli. And one final note is you'll always want to record your lot number of your seeds. This helps you and the supplier should a problem ever pop up. So you want to spread your seeds kind of even. And this is a jute pad. So and I don't like to waste any seeds. I like to give every one of them a chance to feed me. All right. Now, I use the filtered water from outside. So now, one of the problems that I had, of course, was the reason I came up with this whole thing is trying to water these things without the seeds running around on me. So underneath the pad was the ideal way to do it. But I had to get the water underneath the pad. And a lot of folks will lift up the pad. That sort of thing. So this gets us started. This is already saturated with the peroxide, so I'm not sure it's going to take the full 40. Okay, but you will learn what the 40 is all about come days when the pad is completely dry. So it's only going to take 30 today. Now, before I cover this thing up, I want to make sure that the seeds are wet. And this is the one and only time that I'm going to use any spray water. After this, everything is going to get bottom watered with my little squirter, like I showed you. So we're just going to, just enough that the seeds got a shower. And then I'm going to check this every day, but we should be okay as far as water goes for the next 4 days while these are germinating. And these seeds, they really want to sprout. They will push this lid off once they get going. So it's a really cool sight to wake up in the morning and the lid is on just like you see it there. And the next day it's like, that far off. So it's really cool. oops, a ½ ounce. So this is radish, and they're larger seeds. And okay, so. Well, so there's that. This pad was much more dry, and it looks like it's going to hold the full 40 milliliters that this tray was designed to hold. So a little spritz on top, the one and only time. Just make sure that you give it a little shower. Okay, there's that. Now for this, one more deal about your seeds is let's go ahead and let's store them in a cool, dry place that's also dark. So that's the best way to maintain your seeds. Okay, like I said, I'm happy with these seeds here, good germination, but the plants themselves, the sprouts, the microgreens themselves, they're a much smaller size. So even though the seeds now are the same, pretty much the same size. So, all right. Okay, so careful about putting. I made a mistake and I picked the seed up off of here and put it back in my supply, and you don't do that. Sure don't like wasting seeds. Don't ask me why I did that. But I can use them. The table's been wiped and sanitized, so that's exactly what I'm going to do, it looks like. Things go wrong in YouTube videos all the time. Some of my DIY projects in the old days, people would occasionally ask, well, why didn't I do this or why didn't I do that? And I think to myself, well, that was the plan. But once the camera starts rolling, it's a one-shot deal. So, which is what we have here today too. So I could shut off the camera and I could waste all of these seeds and do it again, but I'm not doing that. So, and that's pretty close to my 1/4 ounce. You know, that was kind of skimpy. We did not weigh, did we? I'm going to add a few. I have no idea what the weight will be, but You get the idea. What I try to avoid is putting too many on and having them touch each other too much. I think if they're piled up on one another, you're going to cause problems. And I see a lot of the growers, they'll put as many as they can on because they're trying to save space and that sort of thing. And in a business setting, I would imagine uh, that would be the goal. But for myself, I like avoiding the problem of a possible issue with mold because the seeds are too packed on top of each other. Because one thing about plants is while they're germinating, they produce a lot of heat. So and that heat is going to promote mold. Okay. So we have everything started. So I have these here, and then we have the. If you like if you want the names of these seeds, I'll certainly give them to you in the description. I would suggest that you always have 2 suppliers for your seeds, at least 2 suppliers for your seeds. So that's why I bought 2, tested 2, and have selected these 2. And keep in mind now, one is producing smaller plants, but the rate of germination is fantastic. So it's just a slight variation in strain. So the value, the vitamins. All that's still there. So, all right. Now, one final thing that I have not mentioned is we're going to go over this thing just a little bit. This looks like a monster, and we're going to make this thing just a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more elegant looking, because hanging jewelry on a pig's ear is what this looks like, really. So I'm going to design this just a little bit better, and we're going to be part of that. And one thing that I did not mention before, and that is I have an ozone generator here. Now that's a very important addition to your indoor growing garden. And there's the reason is mold and things that are floating around in the air, and how things like UV lights and ozone generators and misters and things like that work. As they grab the dirt and it falls to the floor. They weigh it down, basically. So you weigh down the mold, falls to the floor, it's on the floor, it's going to dry up and die. Viruses, bacteria, things like that. That's how these things work, is they attach to the dirt, whatever's floating in the air. They attach to it and they add weight and they just pull it down to the floor. So that's how that stuff works. It's not magic. The UV is not really destroying anything. It could be drying it out, but it is throwing a charge on that particle and weighing it down with the weight of electricity. All right, it's cool. It's cool. All right, we're off and running here. We'll see you in about 7 days. I hope you've enjoyed watching me start these, and I'm waiting on stuff to plant the, I have speckle pea. This is a microgreen sprouting, but I think I'm going to put it in just a little bit deeper media. And along with the lettuce and the tomatoes and the chives, I'm waiting on things to arrive while avoiding buying anything I can from Amazon. And so I'll see you in 7 days. Now, what I'm going to attach next is our build. It's not finished. Our space, it's not finished. So I've recorded some stuff that we did behind the camera to improve the temperature stability in this space. So we're going to get to see that at some point as well. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.